Well, hello everyone. Coach Callaway here, and it's Tuesday, just the afternoon, and today I got a very special guest. I would like to interview and talk to and get you guys to know a little bit better. And that's Jordan Whitlow, and Jordan is in my fifth period broadcast journalism class. And he is really taken to this. Even before taking this class, actually, he has his own YouTube channel and has worked with me on the NFHS football broadcast this year. So he's really taken an interest in this. And in fact, he's probably better qualified for this than anybody, including myself. So I would just like to ask Jordan a few questions and get to know him. And Jordan, first tell us how you got started with your interest in broadcasting and videoing and that sort of thing.
So I'd say if any of y'all heard on the NFHS network, me and Coach Callaway had talked about me starting a YouTube channel, and it's called Speedway Pulse Media. And I cover a lot of racing stuff. I'd always had a passion for racing, and I had used to race dirt go-karts, and I had to step away from it. And I just really wanted to stay in the racing world and wanted to figure out a way I could possibly do that. So I fell in love with media, and I'd already been working with cameras and everything. So I was like, let's do some racing media stuff. Me and my friend Wyman Houston, we started Speedway Pulse Media. I believe it was either July 27th or June 27th of 2024, and it's really taken off. We've interviewed several drivers with multiple different racing backgrounds and everything, and it's just really a great thing, and glad that so many drivers are willing to be able to interact with us and want to be involved in it, and it's just great to see it all develop. And another thing that was really cool, last night we actually had some huge news break. One of the actual first client that we ever had at a racetrack, Sam Paley, broke the news that he'd be running at the Mustang GT4 Challenge in Le Mans in France in the summer later this year, and it was really cool because we're pretty much the only video that he has out this year of him actually racing on YouTube, and it just felt great to know that we in a way had a great role in taking on his journey to another country.
Well, Jordan, if you'll talk a little bit about the type of racing that you cover. It's not just local races, which you've done, but this is some pretty big time stuff that you guys are in.
Right, that's true. We've done a couple of local things. Recently, me and Wyman, we went to Swainsboro Raceway over in Swainsboro, Georgia, and we videoed at the World of Outlaws, which that's obviously on the national level. For anywhere, really the international level is the World of Outlaws. They're more formally known everywhere. Australia, Europe, you name it, you've heard of the World of Outlaws somewhere along the way. And if anybody's a fan of dirt racing, they know how big the World of Outlaws are and everything. And that's probably the lowest, not to say that in a bad way, but really the lowest that we've been for racing as a whole, other than the Chili Bowl we sponsored, Walt Hoffman's, who he's actually younger than I am, and he's a phenomenal young man, great driver. We loved working with him. We're definitely going to continue that in the future. But we haven't been to NASCAR yet, and really and truly I wouldn't say we're going to stay out of the NASCAR world. I don't think we'll cover as many races at the NASCAR level, because the IMSA, which is endurance racing, and WEC, which is World Endurance Championship, and IMSA is basically the same thing. Their fan experience is just unreal, and you have more free range even if you're not a licensed photographer or videographer, and they have it well put together, and they allow you to do whatever you want to do at the track as long as you're not causing problems. And so me and Wyman had that deal with Sam Paley at that race, and his whole entire team, that McCumbee McAleer Racing, a huge thank you to them. It was storming one day, and we got to stay in their hauler. They gave us a full hauler tour and everything, and we had lunch with the team, got to attend team meetings, and it was just an unreal experience for that formal level. And they even told us, come back and see us at Road Atlanta later this year. And believe that's on October 10th, and so our video for that will probably be out around October 13th or so later this year, so y'all go check that out and be ready for it. It'll be great because we're going to be videoing for Sam Paley and potentially a couple other drivers. Can't really release that right now at the moment, but some of those drivers are just as good as Sam Paley, if not better, and have a great promising future as well.
Well, Jordan, aside from the interest in doing media and videography and interviewing and covered race car circuit, talk a little bit about when you became interested or developed a love of racing, maybe more so than some of the other sports you could have got involved in. Of course, football, basketball, baseball, or what people call the big three sports. But racing in particular, when did you develop a passion and a love for the racing circuit?
So my dad, he used to race dirt go-karts a while ago. That was before I was born. And so he would always be around a racetrack or something of that nature. So really and truly, I like to say I kind of grew up at a racetrack because I pretty much did. My dad, once he stepped away, he was a crew chief for some people that we know out of Alma, and they're very good people. We love them to death. And they had two sons that fell in love with racing and everything. So we were here, there, you name it. We probably went there from all the way down in Daytona to as far up as North Carolina and Tennessee. I mean, we were at Talladega and everywhere that has a dirt track around this general area. And so, I mean, I just was always around the racetrack and was loving it and just fell in love with it. But I'd say really and truly, I didn't really like it as much until 2011. I was 5 years old. I came home, and it was Sunday, so we came home from church, and I turned on the TV, and I saw race cars going around the track, and my dad told me, he's like, that's NASCAR, and I fell in love with it ever since then. And that year for Christmas, my first ever, I actually got a little car, it's a 1/64 scale, of Juan Pablo Montoya's 2011 Target car. It was number 42. I remember it very, very, I'd say, pretty heavily. Just remembering to open that first one, and now that collection, and I'll insert a picture into the video, but that collection is huge. There's probably 500 cars on a shelf right now at my grandma's house from all the cars that I've collected. And I still collect some of them every now and then. And, yeah, that's pretty much me as a racing fan, and fell in love with racing when I was about 5 and just have loved it ever since. And went to my first race in 2016 at the 2016 Sprint Unlimited and Lucas Oil 200 combined on the same day. That was really fun to be there. And now I've went to around 40 or so NASCAR races, which that's combining all the races that they have in the weekend, because I always try to go to the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup every weekend that I go. And so I've been to 4 different tracks. So still got a lot more on the bucket list. I've been to Daytona, Charlotte, Atlanta. Unfortunately, that was after it got repaved, and it's really and truly not as good racing as I'd like to call it. And recently in November, I went to Phoenix on a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and that was just unbelievable. And can't thank the Burke family and Brant Agriculture enough for allowing me to be out there with them. And that's probably my greatest experience I've ever had at a racetrack, is actually going to Phoenix, which, I mean, anytime I'm at a racetrack, I love it. So that's pretty much me as a racing fan.
Well, that's quite a story, Jordan. There's some things I heard that I had not heard from you, as well as we know each other. We've been together here at Pinewood for 9 years. And so that was really fascinating. Thanks for sharing your story with us, and you love racing, which certainly shows, in what you're doing. I'd like to shift now to your partnership with Wyman Halston, and I was a little bit fascinated and pleasantly surprised to notice you guys were buddies, because Wyman's a couple years older than you. He's also a Pinewood guy, graduated 2022, I believe, from Pinewood. And I remember last year, I believe it was last year, at the Georgia Southern baseball game, I saw you guys, and y'all came on and talked, to me, and we had a good conversation. And kind of from that, I got wind that what you guys were up to with this racing thing going on. So, and Wyman is certainly, if you know Wyman, you know he's got a different kind of view and a sense of humor. Everybody loves Wyman. He's just that kind of guy. So, will you talk to us a little bit about how you and Wyman became friends and how y'all partnered up with this whole thing going on with Speedway Pulse Media?
It's like you say, it's kind of funny. If you do know Wyman, you know a character to say the least. Wyman he's probably one of my favorite people. I'm not down him anything. His dad's a great guy as well, Mr. Roger. But it's kind of funny. The way me and Wyman got a friendship was, I believe there was one day Miss Becky Dasher, who used to drive the buses here for us at Pinewood, she had some medical issue go on that day, and I had to ride Mr. Solosi's bus. And if you know Mr. Solosi, you know another character, to say the least. And there was no seats available on the bus. It was slam packed. We had both riders from the Mindy's Glenville bus and the Glenville Gooseneck bus combined into one in the morning, and we were packed in there like a bunch of sardines. And there was one seat that nobody else had sat in, and there was a guy sitting in it. And I said 2 words to the guy. I was like, or about 3 or 4 words. I was like, "Hey, can I sit with you?" And I sat down, and me and him, we sat there and talked for a couple minutes, and then he pulled out his phone, and I saw a NASCAR background on his phone, and I was like, "You like NASCAR?" And that, from there on, it just clicked. We rode the bus together, and this was before everything went down with his medical history and everything. But basically, we sat there and played Madden on each other's, or I played on his phone, and we'd take turns playing it and just sit there talking about racing. The only problem I really had with him at the time was he was a Kyle Busch fan, and I was not a Kyle Busch fan at the moment. But he's really changed my mind about that, and I'm probably Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch are my 2 favorites, and Kyle Busch is only because of Wyman, really and truly. But we both don't like the same drivers, and we both love the same drivers, so we kind of got along with that. But going back to what Coach Callaway said, though, with meeting him at the Georgia Southern baseball game, that was unplanned. Coach Callaway happened to be there, and I recognized him from a distance. And that was about the time that me and Wyman really started talking about doing a racing media page, and we were telling Coach Callaway about it. And he was, "Yeah, I think y'all should do it. It'd be great as much as y'all love racing and everything." So we started it up, and it's taken off ever since. And I'm just grateful for me and Wyman's friendship, and it's brought a lot more friendships into the picture too. Matthew Durrance, who graduated from here in 22 as well with Wyman. Me and him have become good buddies through Wyman, and then we have our own little friend group now that we always just hang out and have a good time together, because it's just grown from people that we've known and people that we've brought into it. But for Wyman, to say the least, I don't even know where to begin about how much of a character he is. He's a great guy. I don't doubt that at all. And he's well-deserving. He's well-organized. He's actually, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this, he's a surgical technician at the Liberty County Hospital currently. And if I'm being completely honest, I would not have saw him doing that. But I believe he has been telling me a lot that he's going to go back and get his business degree once he finishes getting his certification for that. He's working towards his certification, and I've been a part of it every step of the way, and hear just about everything that he has go on throughout his day, and it's pretty interesting to say the least. But no, he's a great guy, hard worker, and he's dedicated to racing just as much as I am. And so we've been friends ever since. He was in 6th grade, and I'm 3 years behind him, so that would be me in 3rd grade. It was actually Wyman's first year, now that I think about it, was 6th grade here at Pinewood, and he was real quiet, didn't really want to say nothing to many people, real true to himself and all that. And then once me and him became friends, I really feel like that opened up his world to him wanting to talk to more people once he found out there's people with common interests. So it was great to know that I did something like that for a friend who's always been there for me since I've been that little.
Well, thanks for telling us those things about Wyman, a few things that I didn't know about Wyman, and a great story about how y'all met on the school bus that day, and just one thing led to another. And yes, he is a character everybody really loves on his time here, and always happy when I run into Wyman somewhere. So thanks for that, and thanks for bringing in Matthew Durrance too. I know Matthew has helped you guys some with what you're doing with Speedway Pulse Media, and I see Matthew also over at Georgia Southern games when I go to the football games especially. And this Pinewood connection we all have, I think our influence with Pinewood will last us. You're getting ready to graduate, and I'm leaving after this year for another job. So, but the Pinewood will always be with us. I believe no matter where we go, and so grateful for the time we have here. Well, let me ask you this, Jordan. What other interests do you have besides the racing? And tell us a little more things like what do you like to do when you're not involved in the racing and covering that?
Well, like you say, going back to what you said about Matthew first, Matthew, he really helped us get our YouTube channel that we have on its feet. He edited our first video that we had with Dylan Murray, and really the next couple after that, and then he finally taught me the reins of how to edit videos and make stuff look good. But I still call him pretty often, hey, can you edit this video or make it a little bit better or what not? So he's been a great asset to it as well. He's just a behind the scenes person, kind of like I am with the sports broadcasting class, to be completely honest with y'all. And I do all the editing here with the YouTube videos and stuff, and I'm glad to do it and just love to be in this class. But I'd say my main interest outside of racing is probably just being with friends and having a good time. I have a group of buddies that I go play softball with sometimes, and we'll go in a softball tournament. And we're not the greatest, I'll be completely honest with you, but we have a good time, and that's all that really matters. But I'd say doing that, and just we play basketball too, pick up basketball with that same group of friends and everything. And I haven't really been much of a four-wheeler person, and then Matthew finally convinced my parents to allow me to get a four-wheeler, so now that's just about every other week. Hey, do you want to come ride a four-wheeler or something out here at the farm or whatnot? So I'll be out there riding all the time. So I'd really say just being outdoors is probably one of my most favorite things to do, and just enjoying it.
All right. Matthew is at Georgia Southern, and he's about to graduate from there. I'm assuming because he went out in 2022 also, isn't he? Wyman. He's at Geechee Tech now. Well, no matter where he gets his education from, if he's getting ready to get out, if he's looking for a job, I know somebody, that's going to be the head of school at a private school that would hire him in a minute for that. Maybe Pinewood would hire him to run this broadcasting class after I leave. So he certainly would be a good one. All right, I'm going to move in a slightly different direction as we just try to hit a lot of angles here. Again, you're about to graduate here in a little less than a month. I believe graduation is May 18th, and today is April 22nd. So we got less than 30 days. As you wind down, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you were to have to pick one teacher other than Coach Callaway, just kidding, that you have here at Pinewood that maybe made a lasting impact, if you had to narrow it down to one, or could you, who would you pick?
I really don't know who I'd pick. I mean, there's so many great teachers that I've had here at Pinewood. For just a couple of names that I could easily mention, the late Mr. Perkins, he was my fourth grade history teacher, and we were actually his last class as well. And it's kind of funny because, I mean, he told us that he wasn't going to cry on the last day of school, but I walked in there to give him a hug, and his eyes were bawling out. And we could tell the love that he had for all of us. And he always found a way to make class fun regardless of what we were doing. So I'd say him, and obviously you, Coach Callaway, you with having your cancer battle, that really inspired me to not give up on anything, and just that we can overcome really and truly anything regardless of what it is with God with us. And Mr. Solosi's another one, and can't forget Miss Miller. She's been an amazing English teacher. I mean, I've had my struggles in her classes, but everybody's probably had struggles in her classes. I mean, she's just phenomenal, and there's so many college students that I've talked to that their teachers have told them that they've had better papers than anybody that they've ever seen, and their high school teacher was Miss Miller, and I really and truly do believe that. And she's just phenomenal, and we're going to hate to see her go at the end of this year. She'll be retiring as well, and we wish her a happy retirement. But it's just been special having so many great teachers here at Pinewood, and just blessed to have an opportunity to come here.
You almost made me cry too, Jordan. And Mr. Perkins was a special guy. He was here early on when I got here. Unfortunately, COVID, got Mr. Perkins. But what a great guy. So thanks for mentioning him in this interview. And may we never forget his influence here at Pinewood. Well, do you have a special memory at Pinewoods, a favorite moment or anything as you look back here as we, as you reflect back as we reach the end? Anything that you'd like to share with us?
I wouldn't really say it's a good memory to have, but to me in the moment it meant a lot because freshman year I played baseball for the varsity baseball team, and I was playing JV, and I got to hit in JV, and it was fun hitting. I mean, I unfortunately went 0 for 3 or something like that, but we're not going to talk about that. But we all have our fails in baseball, to say the least. But we made it to state championship that year, and to see everybody just at school for the state send-off, that was probably one of my most favorite things to see, because you had the whole entire student body just standing there showing their support. I mean, sure, we don't have many students here compared to some high schools, but it was 12th grade all the way down to K3. They were all standing outside yelling and screaming and just happy that we were making it to state. And we ended up going down there that first Friday night, and we ended up losing to John Millage. And, I mean, John Millage, they beat us in just about everything, unfortunately. But the second day we went back for the second game. We ended up beating them 2-0 in an amazing game. And then in the winner-take-all game 3 of the high school state championship that year, they won it on a walk-off, I do believe, in extra innings, and it was a very questionable game, to say the least. We had a few calls that really were missed, and just phenomenal play at the end actually ended. I believe they didn't walk it off on us. We lost in extra innings. The right fielder actually threw out our guy that had put the ball in play. I don't really remember who it was at the time, but he threw him out from the outfield to first base to end the state championship game. And it was sad to see us lose and everything, but it was just the amount of love that was in that dugout for the whole team and everything. Just the seniors, they knew that we were all there for them, and we were all there for one reason. We actually turned a triple play that game. It counted as a double play, but we only had one out. We already had one out, but Walt Durrance had made a phenomenal diving catch, ran to second, and then threw it to first all by himself, and it was amazing to see. But I mean, we were pumped up whenever that happened. And that's really what brought us back into that game. But it was just a great experience to be on part of that team, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity, like you say, to be here and been able to be part of that team. Obviously, we didn't end up with a ring, but that's not what it was about. It was really and truly about the brotherhood that was created.
Well, that was a special memory, and I was sitting in the stands at Grayson Stadium for that series, and I still say that's one of the best high school baseball series. And I've seen a lot of games in my day, but that ranks right up there. And I remember that play with Walt Durrance was just phenomenal, and just so many dramatic moments in that play. I remember a controversial play at third base that didn't go our way, and Coach Lewis coming out of the dugout, and just so many things that you can look at. But yeah, the feeling at school, going over there and the people in the stands, it was quite a moment. So that was a good one to pick for sure, as far as great memories at Pinewood. And Jordan, we got a few more minutes before we got to wrap this thing up. So the last thing I want you to talk to us about is, what's your future plans? What's the future look like for Jordan Whitlow as he moves on from Pinewood here in less than a month?
I would say I've already been accepted into Georgia Southern. Go Eagles. I've always been a Georgia Southern fan and an Alabama fan, even though some people, pretty much everybody already knows that about me, and you get clowned on about it a little bit whenever Alabama doesn't win a game, but it's fine. I mean, everybody has their losses. Probably, I mean, I'm not going to keep the Speedway Pulse Media as like my full-time job. I mean, that's not going to – I've really realized it's not going to bring in a full-on income at the moment to just be able to support my whole lifestyle. So I'm going to go to Georgia Southern for a Bachelor in Business Administration and Finance and probably work at a local bank here. I'm already currently working at Tippins Bank now as a teller and a little bit of customer service stuff here and there. But I'd say really and truly just working at a local bank and just staying around this general area and being able to go and cover races throughout the year and everything, and just keeping really and truly trying to keep that page up is, I mean, it's a lot. I have Wyman helping me, and that if I didn't have him, it'd probably be way harder. I honestly might not even would have done the Speedway Pulse Media, to be completely honest. Is Wyman, he's our news reporter, but I pretty much do all our picture editing and stuff like that. Wyman does all the, really and truly, I'd like to say Wyman does more of the harder work than I do. I mean, it looks way harder to edit photos. It's really not. It's just really time consuming. But I'd say I'm just going to be at Georgia Southern for business administration and finance and work at a local bank and run Speedway Pulse Media.
Well, Jordan, there's no doubt in my mind that things will work out well for you because you have a vision, you have the work ethic, and you have a great ability to relate to others. So there's no doubt that in God's perfect time, and everything's going to fall into place for you. And I will say I have enjoyed our time here at Pinewood tremendously. I know we'll enjoy these last few days that we have here together. So thank you for this great interview, and thank you guys for watching. And this has been the Callaway Crew podcast. I'm Andy Callaway, and this is Jordan Whitlow, and we'll see you down the road.